This 29-year-old man married a 4-year-old girl, but the reason why will make you cry. Little Abby was diagnosed with cancer at just 2 years old and had spent her whole life in and out of the hospital. She was sad because she just wanted to be a normal girl, but that's when she met her nurse, Matt Hickling. Matt checked up on Abby every single day, but in his heart he felt like she didn't have much time left. So Matt made it his mission to make sure that Abby felt loved and appreciated before she passed away. Abby loved him so much that she actually told her mom that she wanted to marry him one day. However, only a few days later, Matt received a phone call from Abby's mom. Her mom asked him if Matt and Abby could get married, and no, I don't mean legally. A few days later, they had the cutest little wedding at the hospital. Even though it wasn't real, Abby will remember this for the rest of her life. 15 months after her wedding, Abby completed her chemotherapy treatments and is now cancer-free. Bullies called this kid a monkey, but what the internet did for him when they heard his story will restore your faith in humanity. This is 21-year-old Zanziman Ellie, and for his whole life he has been bullied for the way he looks. You see, Ellie has a condition called a microcephaly, which causes his head to be way smaller than the rest of his body. People in his village bully him and call him a monkey because he eats grass, climbs trees, and lives an unusual lifestyle. He was beaten and abused by other kids and villagers because he was seen as an animal and not a human. And the more he was bullied, the more he feared people, which caused him to run away from home every day to hide in the jungle, which really worried his mom. But after Ellie's story went viral, a YouTuber named Aframax started a GoFundMe to help Ellie and his family, which ended up raising over $6,000. Aframax then gave all the money to Ellie's mom, which she used to buy a brand new home to give Ellie a better childhood. This man ordered Domino's every day for 10 years, until Domino's employees realized something was very wrong, and what happened will shock you. Kirk Alexander is a 48-year-old man who lives alone in his house in Salem, Oregon, and his favorite food is pizza, and for 10 years Alexander has ordered from the same Domino's pizza shop every day. But one day he suddenly stopped, and the Domino's employees were very shocked when they found out why. Sarah Fuller, the general manager for the Domino's shop, saw that he hadn't ordered in 11 days straight, and she knew something was wrong. So Fuller decided to send an employee named Tracy Hemblin to go check on their loyal customer. As he approached the front door, he could see that the lights inside were on, but when he knocked, no one answered. So Sarah called 911, and when police arrived, they found him on the floor gasping for air. He had suffered a stroke, but this is when the story gets way better. He has since made a full recovery, and the host of Good Morning America gave the entire restaurant staff an amazing gift. They all got tickets to the premiere of Captain America Civil War. This guy has probably stolen money from you, but when you find out what he did with it, you'll be glad that he did. His name is Hamza Bundalaj, and he is one of the most ruthless hackers the world has ever seen. He was living in his mom's basement in New York when he decided to attempt something no man had ever done. He hacked into 217 banks and 60 million bank accounts. Just to put that into perspective, that's over 18% of the US population. Him and his friend got away with $4 billion in a matter of months. But you see, there's a reason why they're smiling, and you won't believe what they did with the money. They donated over $280 million to charities in Africa and Palestine. However, they were still sentenced to 15 years in prison.
In the beginning of the movie Moana saves the life of Crush when he was just a baby. When baby Moana is on the beach, she spots this little sea turtle that looks just like Crush, and she protects him as he makes his way to the water from all these birds right here. And when the turtle makes it to the water and swims away, it swims on its back. And if you guys remember, Crush swims on his back in the movie Finding Nemo. Now you might be thinking this is just some crazy conspiracy theory, but at the Nemo ride at the Disney Park Epcot, you can actually ask Crush himself questions. And this is what Crush had to say.
Are you the baby turtle from Moana?
Dude, I don't like to feed into conspiracy theories, but totally.
This little boy got in trouble at school because his teachers thought he was lying when he said his uncle was Superman. But the thing is, he wasn't lying. Little Thomas is 7 years old and he went to school dressed like Superman, and his teacher asked him why he was dressed like that. And the little boy said, because Superman is my uncle. The boy's teacher tried to explain that Superman wasn't real, but he was having none of it. He insisted and said many times that not only was Superman real, but he was his uncle. And apparently it got so bad that the teacher ended up sending him to the principal's office. Thomas's mom was then called to the office, and the teachers were instructing Thomas to not lie. But when Thomas's mom realized the reason reason he got in trouble, she just laughed and told him that he was telling the truth. Thomas's mother called her brother-in-law and told him to come to school with Thomas to prove he wasn't a liar. And Thomas was very happy when Henry Cavill, who is actually Superman, went to school with him to show all of his friends and teachers.
I'm gonna make your childhood even better. First, Fred and Daphne from the original Scooby-Doo movies actually got married in real life and have 2 kids together. Next, Tom and Jerry are actually best friends, but Tom has to pretend to hate Jerry to protect him, because if Tom's owners figured out they're best friends, he would be replaced with a cat that would actually want to kill Jerry. Next, the house from Up is actually based on a true story, and it's super wholesome. Edith Mayfield lived in her farmhouse for almost 60 years, until lots of multi-billion-dollar businesses started to build around her house and they offered her millions to move out. But Edith always declined, so they just built around her, and the house is still standing to this day in Seattle. The video you're watching shows a middle school bus driver suffering a heart attack at the wheel. 13-year-old Jeremy Woodcheck sees the bus driver shake frantically, slump down in his seat, and realizes his hands aren't on the wheel and nothing is guiding the bus. The 7th grader quickly jumps into action, grabbing the controls and steering the bus of over 15 other kids to the side of the road safely. He couldn't brake the bus because he couldn't reach the pedals, but he did manage to bring the vehicle to a stop by yanking the keys out of the ignition. And believe it or not, Jeremy wasn't the only hero on the bus that morning, as one of his best friends, Johnny Wood, performed a CPR on the driver until help arrived. These are the saddest and most wholesome graves in the entire world. This grieving mother added a sandbox to her little boy's grave who had passed away unexpectedly, and now his older brother plays in it every single day. This is the gravesite of a boy who died of an incurable illness in 1865. A few hours before he died, he told his dad he was scared of death because he knew they were gonna bury him underground with no lights. So the parents honored his wish and put a window in his tomb. After her daughter died of yellow fever in 1892, a grieving mother wanted to make sure that her little girl was never alone. You see, her daughter was absolutely terrified of storms, so she constructed a staircase that goes directly down into her tomb. Every time there was a thunderstorm, that mother would go to the graveyard and sit with her daughter for hours, comforting her in her grave. This 6-year-old saved his little sister's life, and you won't believe what the Avengers did for him when they heard about his heroic act. On July 9th, Bridger Walker, who was only 6 years old, jumped into action when a huge German Shepherd charged towards his 4-year-old little sister. He shielded his sister from the dog with his own body and was brutally attacked. The dog leaped and latched onto Bridger's cheek, and Bridger had to undergo a 2-hour surgery and get 90 stitches to fix his cheek. And this is when the story gets even crazier, as Bridger is a huge fan of Marvel. Chris Evans heard of Bridger's story and FaceTimed him and sent him an authentic Captain America shield because he was such a hero. Robert Downey Jr. also FaceTimed him and said he was gonna send him an even better gift than a Captain America shield. But Tom Holland and Zendaya outdid both Chris and Robert, as they had Bridger and his whole family come to the set of Spider-Man No Way Home, where they showed them all around set and Bridger got to web sling with Tom Holland.